We have a massive Phoenix Suns trade update as this changes everything for the Suns' direction as their top trade candidate in Jimmy Butler has requested a trade. And this is going to be impactful as he's requested a trade to virtually anywhere. Because this is going to make it more difficult for a Phoenix Suns team to acquire Jimmy Butler. Or will this become even easier for a team in the Suns to get Jimmy Butler as now he has formally submitted that request? We'll be diving in and discussing all of that and more on this episode of Suns Digest. I'm Bruce Velez. Welcome back, everyone, to the channel. You guys have been absolutely fantastic, showing your love and support. Without further ado, let's dive into the topic at hand today. Make sure to grab a snack. And like I said in the introduction, we got a new trade update revolving around Jimmy Butler. As yesterday night, Jimmy Butler formally requested a trade from the Miami Heat. If we want to look at this update here, courtesy of Ira Winderman, we saw late last night following the game between the Miami Heat and the Indiana Pacers that Jimmy Butler was not happy. And he was asked, what do you want to see happen? And he says, I want to see me get my joy back from playing basketball. And then when he was asked, would he get his joy back with the Heat? His response was probably not. And this was leading a lot of people to start to question, is this going to be the asking out of a trade for Jimmy Butler? And then Shams Charania hit it on the nose just a couple minutes later, letting us all know with an ESPN story, letting us know that Jimmy Butler has finally submitted that trade request, a drama that has been going on over the last couple weeks surrounding around the superstar and his name with his longevity with this Heat squad. And if we want to dive in and look at this article, we can see furthermore from Shams Charania that Butler does not plan to furnish the Heat with a list of favored destinations per going for a trade, sources said ESPN. He is open to playing anywhere other than Miami and believes he can make any team a contender no matter where he is moved. He does plan to take part in all team activities and do whatever that he asked him to do during the process, which is solid, but Heat officials do not immediately return messages Thursday night. Butler scored just 9 points in the Heat's loss to the Indiana Pacers on Thursday night and said after the game that he had lost his joy playing in Miami, like I showed you from that quote from Ira Winderman, courtesy of the Miami Heat. But this is some big, shocking news coming out of obviously ESPN and Jimmy Butler, as we obviously had known the drama was kind of building up, but we hadn't seen a full-on trade request go through. And the Heat are a team that are wanting to compete with Tyler Hero, wanting to compete with Bam Adebayo, and compete in this Eastern Conference. So for them moving off a player like Jimmy Butler, they're going to want to look to gain some capital back, gain some winning momentum back. And for Jimmy Butler, he's going to want to go to a team that is going to be in a playoff push or pushing for one of those spots. And as we all know, the Suns are one of those rumored teams to be interested in Jimmy Butler, as we've kind of heard through the rumors, and we got some more updates revolving around that as well, as we can see from Shams Charania and from Gerald Bourguet, courtesy of PHNX Sports. We can see that even though Butler in his piece did say he would like to go anywhere, the 4 teams that he does remain still to be interested in going to are the Golden State Warriors, the Phoenix Suns, the Houston Rockets, and the Dallas Mavericks. The reason of going to the 2 teams in Dallas and Houston is obviously going back home and playing in Texas. Golden State obviously interested in playing alongside Stephen Curry, and obviously interested playing alongside Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns. And this is good news for Phoenix Suns fans because now at least Jimmy Butler has formally requested that trade. So if the Suns are looking to get interested in making moves, which they should be looking to, as they have been dealing with these injuries and are sitting below 500 going into 2025, this could be the perfect avenue for the Suns to go out and do something. They have the contracts, as we all know, to go out and get a player like Jimmy Butler. They have the contract to move in Bradley Beal if it is movable. And if we want to look at Jimmy Butler's stats so far on the year, we can see he's obviously been dealing with some injuries this season, hasn't been giving it his 100% for the Heat. So his numbers are down, averaging around 18 points, 5.5 rebounds, 4.7 assists, shooting 55% 25% from the field and 38% from three. But we all know Jimmy Butler to turn up in the playoffs. And if the Suns were able to acquire Jimmy Butler into that lineup alongside Booker and Kevin Durant, I believe it would be the final solution to pushing the Suns into that top tier echelon alongside players like Tyus Jones, Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, Josh Okogie, and finding that true center to give the Suns that comparable team. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section all on this news. But as we all know, with going to acquire a player like Jimmy Butler, the one trade piece that the Suns do have is Bradley Beal. And with the Bradley Beal and with the Suns, it is very difficult for them to get a deal done. With him obviously being on a $50 million contract and it for being from multiple seasons, and with him having a no trade clause. And with Butler possibly wanting to go to other possible destinations as well, saying that he can bring a competitor anywhere in the NBA, does this ultimately rise the question is this better or is this worse for the Suns that Jimmy Butler said this? Because ultimately this is raising a lot of questions and possibilities on the Suns even being able to acquire Butler at this very moment. As we know and as we've mentioned previously, courtesy from Gerald and Shams, we know that his preferred destinations are the Warriors, the Suns, the Rockets, or the Mavericks. But as we see here, if the Heat are unable to find a trade package that they like, or some of these teams aren't interested in giving out what the Heat want for a trade in Jimmy Butler, the Heat could presumably find a deal for Butler to go anywhere, possibly the Washington Wizards, possibly the Brooklyn Nets, or possibly a sleeper team like the New Orleans Pelicans or Memphis Grizzlies or even Denver Nuggets. And that could cause a lot of other things for the Suns that would not be great, because if that were to happen, then the Suns lose their prime opportunity of being able to get this deal done and to move off of the Bradley Beal contract, one that they've wanted to move off of this season. And if that does not happen, then the Suns are then truly stuck to only making minor and marginal moves around the edges, which then could still bring them a nice championship push, but in my opinion, isn't going to change the big problem here, which is the starting lineup and the consistency of this team. We've seen the Suns have games where they are great offensively and seen the Suns have games where they're great defensively. And ultimately, it's due to the fact of the inconsistency of the injuries and these different lineups being mixed in. And I think the Suns need a new identity with this starting lineup and with a team filled of Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant, three scorers alongside Tyus Jones, who's not the best defender, a solid playmaker and center upper, and Yusuf Nurkic, a center who cannot have any interior defense. This Suns team ultimately collapses on the defensive side of the ball and has to outscore opponents to win. And ultimately, they need some shakeups. They need some new energy. They need some new life. And unfortunately, they're kind of strapped to Bradley Beal with that no trade clause, to unfortunately where if they're not able to get a deal involving Jimmy Butler and finding a way to make Beal either accept his no trade clause to go to another team or have Miami want to pursue Bradley Beal, then they are ultimately screwed. I realistically do think that the Suns are only going to get a deal done with Butler if the Miami Heat run out of options and they are legitimately forced into a trade with doing it for Bradley Beal, as that is the only option that they could get for their roster. I think that the Heat ultimately would rather keep Jimmy Butler and lose him for nothing than acquiring Bradley Beal and having that $50 million to reset in free agency next season, or trading Jimmy Butler for some salary that is a salary that's on a one-year deal similar to like a Ben Simmons type of contract, then rather pursue a Bradley Beal's $50 million for the future on extended years. But let me know what you guys ultimately think down below in the comment section. I want the Suns to be able to get a player like Jimmy Butler, and it's becoming more and more evident that he is going to be traded, with him requesting a trade. But with him saying that he could possibly go anywhere, I think that does limit the Suns and their possibility of being able to acquire in Jimmy Butler. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section, how you guys ultimately feel about the news, and do you ultimately think he is going to land in Phoenix? And if not, where do you think he lands? Thank you guys so much for tuning into the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, and go Phoenix Suns. Peace out, everyone.